247 BC, the 13-year-old Yingzheng was crowned to be the lord of the Qin state. After over 20 generations of development, Qin built an empire in the Yellow River Basin of western China. The Qin army breached the Great Wall of other 6 states and started the campaign of reunifying China in 230 BC. In 223 BC, Pumen, the first recorded chief of nomadic Huns, led his cavalry heading south. They crossed the broken Great Wall on Yinshan mountain range and occupied the farming land near the northern frontier of China. Yinshan mountain drew a distinctive line between the farming civilization and the nomadic civilization, but this area is suitable for both grazing and farming. In 221 BC, 38-year-old Yingzheng accomplished his great achievement of reunification of China. He proclaimed the first emperor of Qin, Qin Shihuang. Since then, the title of emperor appeared in Chinese history for the first time and lasted over 2,000 years until 1911. Although Qin Shihuang conquered northern China, there were rebellions one after another. The land in further southern China was still occupied by the so-called Southern Barbarians. 214 BC, Qin Shihuang made a vital decision. He ordered to dig a canal connecting the Xiang River and the Li River, so the rice from Sichuan could transport to the front line. This was one of the oldest canals in the world. The Qin was a pure farming empire with large territory from the western mountain to the sea in the east and south. Xianyang, the thriving and bustling capital of Qin, was one of the largest cities in the world at that time. Just in a couple of years, Qin Shihuang designed a new blueprint for China. Before Qin, the monarch of the Zhou dynasty enfeoffed his land to the lords of the royal family. But Qin Shihuang divided China into 36 prefectures and counties and appointed civil officials to administrate the land. The civil officials were not elected by the people, but were appointed by the emperor in the central government. The officials are responsible to the emperor, not the Chinese people. This political system has influenced China over 2,000 years. Qin Shihuang also made a new standard for his empire. Before the Qin, each state had their own writing character, currency, weights and measures, wheelbase of chariot. You can imagine, China was like today's Europe in those days. Qin Shihuang made only one standard in China. One of the most important standardization was the writing of Chinese characters. Although people in different areas speak different dialects, but these square characters kept China united. 215 BC, Qin Shihuang ordered to tear down the Great Wall of the former states, except the wall facing the northern grassland. He went on an expedition to the east coast to seek the immortals. He was 44 years old and only concerned about 2 things: his lifespan and the destiny of the empire. If he could obtain the elixir from the immortals, he would rule the eternal empire for good, but he was disappointed. Qin Shihuang returned back to the capital and summoned a Taoist priest. He didn't bring the secret of immortality, but a book of the future. The emperor was shocked when he read a few characters. The grave digger of Qin were the Huns. Qin Shihuang realized that the nomadic Huns were totally different from the farming Chinese. Those barbarians were a big threat to the empire. 6 years later, after the founding of the new country, Qin Shihuang was able to reestablish the order in the northern frontier. In 215 BC, he ordered his Grand General Meng Tian to lead 300,000 soldiers marching to the north. When Qin started to unify China, they could target their settled enemies one by one. But when they came to the grassland, the nomads were expert of guerrilla tactics. It took General Meng Tian 1 year to defeat the Huns and regain the land on the south of the Yinshan mountain. Pumen led the Huns and retreated 300 kilometers to the hinterland of the Mongolian plateau. The Qin army didn't chase the Huns due to the long-distance logistic problem. The nomadic tribes and the farming regime restabilized along the Yinshan mountain. Qin Shihuang ordered General Meng Tian to connect the broken Great Wall from the former northern states and build a new one. A military defense line separated the farming settlers from the nomadic tribes permanently. 200 years later, after Qin Shihuang built the Great Wall in China, the Roman Emperor built another Great Wall on the Great Britain Island, the Hadrians Wall. Maybe the 2 emperors had the same feeling. It's not a good idea to chase the enemy all along. An effective defense project would bring peace to the empire. Building a new Great Wall on the Yinshan mountain became a national project of the empire. But General Meng Tian had to face 2 challenges. Number 1, Where to build the Great Wall on the western mountain ranges. Number 2. Where to find enough labor to build the Great Wall. The guideline for the construction was building the wall on the strategic points. In this way, they could save building materials and manpower, so General Meng Tian sent technicians to survey the terrain on the mountains. Although he had 300,000 soldiers, it would take forever to build the 120 kilometers long Great Wall on the mountain top. Qin adopted a very cruel law system. There were enough criminals in the prison. The soldiers cut the criminals' hair and put a tattoo on their face. They would be easily recognized and sent back to the construction site if they ran away. Many forced laborers died away from home. You couldn't imagine how happy they were when they lost their job. We don't know exactly how many people got involved in the construction. Only 300,000 soldiers were equivalent to 10% of the male labor force in China over 2,000 years ago. It took 5 years to build the Qin Great Wall on the mountain ridge. The 5-meter high, 3-meter wide stone blocks stacked Great Wall were 120 kilometers long. The stone blocks quarried on the mountains weighed from 5 kilograms to 30 kilograms. The Qin Great Wall was piled up of stone blocks without any mortar, but it stood over 2,000 years. We could find the ruins of the Beacon Tower on the top of the nearby mountain every 1 to 2 kilometers. Pass and fortress were built in the strategic valley. Beacon Tower, outpost, barrack, and wall formed a magnificent military defense system. The dividing line between the farming area and nomadic area is generally close to the 400mm ISO height. Coincidentally, the Qin Great Wall matched it. The nomadic chief Tuman was frustrated and left the farming Chinese alone when the Great Wall was finished. But he was waiting for revenge. Since then, herdsmen and farmers have lived their own life peacefully, but a plot was going on in the empire. General Meng Tian stayed at the northern frontier when the military construction was completed. The Crown Prince Fu Su was demoted to build the Great Wall along with the General Meng Tian because he had admonished his father for burying alive over 400 Confucian scholars. In 210 BC, the herald delivered Qin Shihuang's imperial edict. The emperor ordered both of them to commit suicide. The Crown Prince Fu Su would never have thought that his father had passed away on his journey to the south. The wicked high-ranking officials sealed off the news. They covered the emperor's body with stinky bolognaise and brought 3 meals a day to the emperor's chariot as usual. They changed the emperor's will and sent the crown prince and the grand general to death. The crown prince was too young, too simple, and too naive. But the General Meng Tian questioned and disobeyed the order and was put into prison. The wicked officials achieved a successful coup and put another coachable prince on the throne. The new emperor sent a real order and poisoned liquor to the general, which he could not refuse. He confessed before his death, "I deserve to die, because I destroyed the winds of the earth when I built the Great Wall. I ruined the feng shui of the empire. I deserve it." The death of General Meng Tian led to the disloyalty of the soldier in the north. The defense line of the empire was shaken. 209 BC, just 1 year after Qin Shihuang's death, a riot broke out in the south of the empire. Over 900 coolies were forced to move to the north to build the Great Wall. Several days of heavy rain delayed their trip. Being late is inevitable. According to the cruel law of the empire, all of them would be executed. The 2 uprising leaders decided to give it a shot. They rebelled, and the riot spread out like viruses. The troops stationed at the Great Wall were dispatched to suppress the insurrection. The cavalry of the Hans crossed the Great Wall and occupied the farming land on the south of the ancient mountain again. The Great Wall collapsed along with the Qin Empire. In world history, only ancient China and ancient Rome built the Great Wall. Hadrians Wall was abandoned after the Roman Empire collapsed. But the building and maintaining of the Great Wall in China lasted for over 2,000 years. Nomads on the northern grassland were the only enemy before the British Navy came from the sea in Opium War in 1840. If the Emperor Qin Shihuang didn't build the Great Wall, maybe China would be like Europe. The Great Wall kept China united.